Hey everybody, this video is to help you pass the North Carolina Math 3 EOC using a handful of Desmos hacks. So the first strategy I'm going to show you is going to work a lot across the questions of this exam. If you're given a problem and it's asking for an equivalent expression, and you have an algebraic expression like this one, and your answer choices are also a bunch of weird, crazy math expressions, if they're the same, or if you've simplified, or if it's equivalent, then it's going to be the same as the answer. Like the function's going to overlap. So we want to find which thing overlaps in Desmos. Now, one tricky thing, division in Desmos, you've got to hit the dividing sign first. And we don't have that same division symbol. So you just hit that first. It's going to turn it into a fraction over a fraction. So I'd have x squared minus 2x minus 37. And then I'm going to have the bottom, which was x squared minus 3x minus 40. And I can put that in parentheses too if I'd like to. That's fine. So that's my equation. It's also safest to go ahead and do y equals in the front. In case your answer is a constant number, you would want that. So I put y equals the problem into line 1. This was the problem. Instead of using the division symbol, I just used a fraction. All right, so now I am going to see which answer choice matches up. So the way that I do that is I am just typing in each answer choice. So I have 1 plus fraction. It was x plus 3 over x squared minus 3x, and then minus 40. And I want to know if it overlaps. Wow, I got lucky on the very first try. Answer choice A fully overlaps the problem. That is the answer. Okay, that's all I have to do. And so when I'm here, I pick A, but I just want to show you like how this is what it would look like if I got it wrong. Like that would not be the answer because the red and the blue wouldn't overlap. But when I change this back to plus sign, that was the answer because red and blue fully overlap. You can use this in so many of these types of problems. Now another, so like even like number 6, same strategy. And I'm going to skip that one since I just showed you how to do it. You're finding the overlap. All right, the other, another big strategy that could help you multiple times is solving an equation that's just like a regular old equal sign, find x. So if I'm looking at number 19 from the Math 3 release exam, I'm going to solve this by doing y equals the left side, y equals the right side of this equation and see which one overlaps. So I'm going to do y equals 9 to the. Now, if you're putting multiple things in the exponent, you need to use parentheses. Negative 3x plus 2. Negative 3x plus 2 goes up there. Then in the second line, I do y equals the right side of the equation, which was 48. And I want to know where they cross. Well, they're going to cross at 48. So let me go find 48. Zoom in. You want to zoom in so you get some space between the y-axis. You don't want to accidentally click the y-intercept. Click the dot. The x value is your answer, so 0.0794, which is A. All right, so that is how to solve an equation using Desmos, how to find an equivalent expression. Now let's talk about graphs. Graphs like number 8, sorry if I'm scrolling a little fast. Number 8 is asking me about a graph and which is the equation. I'm just going to type these into Desmos until I figure out which one's the same. So I'm going to do y equals answer choice A, which was absolute value. The absolute value bars are, move that out of the way, are right here. And I believe that answer choice was x in the inside minus 2 on the outside. So I'm going to look for some features. I've zoomed out too much, so I need to hit the home button. This one's at 0, -2, and then it crosses here at -2 and 2. So let's see if that matches up. No, this one is supposed to cross at -1 and +1, so that wouldn't work out. So it's not A. All right, so now I'm going to change it to be 2x on the inside. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a 2x on the inside. This time it crosses at -1 and 1. It's down here at 0, -2, and that's my answer. So that's how I'm going to do graphs. So B would be the answer. However, if I was taking the Math 3 EOC, I would definitely take the time to check my other answer choices just to make sure I didn't type something in weird. All right, number 10, we have a system of equations. We have f of x and g of x, and it wants to know the y value when they're equal. So this is all I do. F of x equals. And then I'm going to put in that function, which was 2x to the third, and plus 2x, and then minus 3. And then again, this is number 10 on the release exam. I have negative 0.5, absolute values down here at the bottom. I'm putting in x minus 4. I want to know where the y value, where they intersect. I click where they cross. The y value is the second number, which would be negative 1.75. That would be my answer. Sometimes with systems, they might say, like, what's the sum of the point of intersection? You would add them together. If it said, what's the product, you would multiply them. But this is just, what's the y value? All right, so that's how you do number 10. Let's hop to number 15. Number 15 is a piecewise function, and the calculator is awesome at these, and these are usually very common on the Math 3 EOC, so we definitely want to remember how to type these in the calculator. They can get a little bit tricky to type in, so just pay close attention. I can use h of x, no big deal. So I'm going to go h of x equals. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. So now I have negative 1/2 x minus 15. And then I'm going to put curly bracket, and I'm going to do the less than or equal to negative 4. So I have to take this part at the end. It's not letting me highlight. This part right here, still not letting me highlight. Go back, get my marker. All right, so I'm putting this part in the curly brackets, this part, and then I type the other function in. Now, I might not know the best way, but I don't know how to do it all in one line. I think you have to do it in 2 different lines. So I might call the next one g of x because I just need a different letter. It could be f of x either way. This has to be a different letter. 20 minus 3x squared, and then curly bracket, and I have x is greater than negative 4 because that was the second part of the problem down here. So I have all of that typed in. I did separate lines. So I did h of x for the first line, and I did g of x for the second line because I had to separate them. Okay, separated each piece of the piecewise. Now I'm going to do h of negative 4. And I know it says h of negative 2. So watch this. If I do h of negative 2, that's undefined because I chose the wrong piece. So if you get undefined here, it probably means you need to use your other piece, which was 3 times the bottom one, 3 times g of negative 2, and this is my answer. It would be 11. So you do have to know which one you're looking at. If you get undefined, you can try the other letter. But that is how you do it. The other way you can do this is to just go grab the values from the table. So like I needed negative 4. It gives me negative 13, and then here I need negative 2, and it gives me 8. If I had accidentally tried to do negative 2 in this table, it would be undefined, but you can get values from that as well. The easiest way to do it, though, is by just typing them in with different letters. All right. So that is a piecewise function. It would work also similarly for number 14. You just got to pay attention to what you are using in the calculator here. All right. So moving on. That was number 15. Let's travel over to number 17. There are going to be questions that talk about the zeros of a function, and you have to know a little bit of math here. You have to know what a zero is, and a zero is the x-intercept. But I'm going to take this function, and I'm just going to put it into Desmos. And then I need to make sure these are exponents. And I'm just doing shift-6 to do that, to get an exponent, or you can use squared, or the B one lets you put any number in. And I'm going to click the x-axis dots. Those are your zeros. Okay, so this question wants to know to the nearest hundredth, what's the distance to the one that is closest to each other? So I'm going to just take them and subtract them. 0.25 minus negative 2 Those are 2.25 apart from each other because that one was at -2 and this is at positive 0.25. So you go 2 to get to 0, then 0.25 more. The other one is at 3, so I could do 3 minus 0.25. Just taking the one on the right and subtracting the one that's to the left of it. And that's 2.75, and it wanted to know that are closest, so that would be 2.25 as the distance. All right, let's chat about number 26 from the released exam. I'll get there eventually. We have a circle equation. There's definitely going to be circle equations. They're going to be asking about the radius. They could ask you about the center. I'm just going to plop this equation into Desmos. And I am going to make sure these are squared because if the circle doesn't show up, you know you typed it in wrong. And then I'm going to look at it. And I'm going to try to figure out what my center is. All right, so I'm looking at this. It goes from 2 to 4, 2 to 4. I think 2, 2 would be a good center. So I'm going to go to the second line and put 2, 2. See if it actually lands in the center. And then I'm going to find my radius. Well, the radius goes from the middle to the edge or the middle to the top or the middle to the bottom. And it's 2 either way you look at it. So my radius would be 2 units. If they ask you for a diameter, you would need to double that. All right. Now, I just want to talk one more time about how to solve an equation given a problem in Desmos. If I'm looking at this problem about the diagonals of a rectangle, I do have to know some math here because I have to know that diagonals are equal to each other. So like FH here is equal to GI. They give me IE as 3x plus 4. They give me that EG, this piece, is 5x minus 6. The other thing you have to know is that the diagonals bisect each other, meaning they cut each other in half. So that would mean that this half is equal to that half. So I would do 3x plus 4 is equal to 5x minus 6. I know this handwriting is beautiful. And because I'm solving an equation, any equation you've set up, if you can set up the equation, you can do it by doing y equals the left and y equals the right. 5x minus 6. Click where they intersect. I do some zooming. And the answer is the x value, which is 5. That's the answer for x. It wants the length of h, fh, which is the whole piece, because it's asking me for this whole piece, which is the same as this whole piece. So if I plug in what I get 5, then I would have 3 times 5 plus 4 is 19. If I did 5 times 5 minus 6, that's also 19. So I need 2 19s to get the whole piece. So I would add them together and I would get 38. All right, one other thing I want to bring up, rate of work problems always show up on the Math 3 EOC. I'd be shocked if you didn't have one this year. A rate of work problem is talking about like one person can do a job in this length of time and the other person can do the job in this length of time. And then it's just like, what would it take if somebody did it by themselves or together, all that things. So this one says, Martha can paint a room in 2 hours. Jamie can paint the same room in 6 hours. How long will it take them if they work together? This is our formula. T over A plus T over B is equal to 1. They're doing one job together. T stands for the length of time it takes them together. We don't know how long it takes them together because it's asking for that. We know that, so it's going to be X. Martha can do the job in 2 hours, so X over 2. Jamie can do the job in 6 hours, so that's X over 6. And we set it equal to 1. Now we have an equation. We can do y equals the left, y equals the right. So y equals X over 2 plus X over 6. This is going to be 1. Let me make sure my numbers were right. And then we're just going to find where it crosses 1 at. It crosses at 1.5. That's your answer. All right, so that is how you use Desmos to answer questions on the EOC You do have to obviously know some formulas and things like that, but if you can remember the strategies of how to solve an equation, and then especially how to do like these questions where it says which one's equivalent, you just put the problem in line 1, put the answer choices in line 2 until it fully overlaps. That's really going to help you. I hope you share these strategies with somebody else, and I know you're going to crush the Math 3 EOC.